David Hale, the man who could sign away millions with a flick of his pen, walked with the mechanical precision of someone too important to be awake at this hour. The world bent for him until it didn't. From the shadows, 3 men emerged, faces masked, movements sharp. They didn't speak. The first blow landed fast, folding David to one knee. Another came from behind, a knife flashing in the dull streetlight. Maya froze. Survival had taught her one rule: don't get involved. But something in David's gasping, the desperate sound of a man stripped of power, cracked her. Without thinking, she grabbed the nearest weapon, a jagged metal pipe from the alley, and stepped into the street. She moved fast, unpredictably, her strikes born of desperation rather than skill. The attackers weren't ready for her. One stumbled back, clutching a bleeding arm, another cursed as she swung again, fierce and unrelenting. It was over in less than a minute. The men scattered into the shadows they came from, their footsteps fading into the city's hum. David lay on the pavement, chest heaving, blood seeping from a cut above his brow. His expensive watch was gone, but his life was still his. He looked at Maya like she was a hallucination. Maya didn't wait for thanks. She dropped the pipe, turned to vanish back into the alley, but his voice stopped her, low, raw, almost pleading. "Who are you?" Her eyes met his, and for the first time in years, someone truly saw her. "Wait." David's voice was shaky but urgent. He pushed himself up, hand pressed against the cut on his forehead. "They weren't muggers." She stopped. The way he said it, quiet, deliberate, carried the weight of something far darker. "They knew my name," he continued, scanning the shadows like they were still watching. "They said, 'The board sends its regards.'" Maya's stomach knotted. Corporate board? She knew those words. She'd heard them whispered in the shelter once, from a man who disappeared the next day. Before she could speak, headlights flared at the end of the street. Not police. Black SUV. Tinted windows. Moving slow, deliberate. David's eyes widened. "Get down." A gunshot cracked the morning stillness, the bullet shattering the glass of the cafe behind them. Maya dropped instantly, dragging David behind the dumpster she'd been scavenging. Another shot tore into the metal beside her head. "They're not stopping," she hissed. "They won't," David said grimly. "Not until I'm dead." She looked at him, then really looked, and saw a man drowning beneath a suit and a title, someone with enemies who didn't just want him gone, they wanted him erased. More gunfire. Footsteps on asphalt. Whoever was in that SUV wasn't worried about the police. That meant they had reach. Power. Maya's voiceover cut in, the sound of her breathing fast, adrenaline hot in her veins. "That's when I realized. I didn't stumble into danger. I walked into a war. And the only reason I was still alive was because I'd just made the most dangerous man in the city owe me his life." The SUV's door slammed. Boots hit the pavement. The shadow of a man holding a silenced pistol stretched across the dumpster. David grabbed Maya's wrist. "If you stay, you die. If you run, they'll hunt you. Either way, you're in this now." Maya woke in a bed so soft it felt like a trap. The air scented faintly of something she couldn't name but recognized instantly: money. Her fingers traced the stitching on the blanket, every thread a reminder she didn't belong here. Downstairs, the house stretched like a museum, cold marble, walls lined with paintings that cost more than she'd ever seen in her life. David stood at the window, suit jacket off, nursing coffee. His eyes weren't on the city skyline. They were on her reflection in the glass. "You saved my life," he said quietly, almost to himself. "That means something to me." "Doesn't have to," she replied, glancing toward the door like she was already planning her exit. Before either could say more, Evelyn appeared, heels clicking against the marble, her smile sharp as glass. She set a folder on David's desk without looking at Maya. "I ran a background check," she said. "Your guest has history." David's gaze shifted to Maya, searching her face for something: truth, lies, maybe both. Maya stepped forward, her voice low, steady. "You think you're the first person to dig through my past? You'll find what everyone finds: nothing worth keeping." Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "Or something worth hiding." For a moment, silence hung between them, thick as smoke. That night, David found himself pacing his study, a half-drunk glass of scotch in his hand. Every rule of his life control, caution, distance was bending around her presence. She didn't fit into his world, but somehow, that made her the only real thing in it. In the guest room, Maya stared at the ceiling, replaying the attack. She recognized one of the masked men's movements, a tell she'd learned from years surviving around dangerous people. If she was right, the attack wasn't about David's company, it was about something else. Something tied to her. She's here. Room on the east wing. No security. Her thumb hovered. She wasn't supposed to think about it, just send it, get her bonus, and pretend nothing happened. But there was something in the way David had looked at Maya earlier. Protective, almost. Evelyn hit send anyway. In the guest room, Maya was awake. Years on the streets had trained her to hear the change in a building's heartbeat, the subtle shift when danger was near. She swung her legs out of bed, feet hitting the carpet silently. A shadow moved across the courtyard. David's study door creaked open. He was still dressed, tie loosened, a file open in his hand. But his attention snapped to her instantly. "What are you doing up?" "I could ask you the same," she said. Then, without warning, she crossed to him and closed the file he was reading. "They're coming." He frowned. "Who?" Before she could answer, the sound of the front gate opening echoed through the house. Not the polite hum of an entry code metal grinding. Forced. David moved to the security panel. Dead. Cameras black. Maya's voice was low, urgent. "You have a back exit." Through the kitchen. The lights went out. From the darkness, muffled footsteps. 3, maybe 4 people. Moving with intent. Maya grabbed David's arm. "Stay low. Follow me." They moved through the darkness like ghosts, Maya guiding him by memory after just one day in this house. But in the kitchen, the silhouette of a man blocked the doorway, broad shoulders, armed. Evelyn's voice came from the shadows behind them, trembling but still sharp. "I didn't know they'd kill you both. I swear." David's eyes flared. "Evelyn, what did you do?" Before she could answer, glass shattered in the dining room, a second intruder entering. Maya didn't hesitate, she shoved David toward the pantry and grabbed the heavy marble pestle from the counter. The first attacker lunged, she swung, the blow crunching into his forearm. He dropped the weapon. Gunfire exploded in the confined space. David pulled Evelyn into cover, but Maya was already moving, every strike efficient, survival carved into muscle memory. When the last intruder hit the floor, breathing ragged, David just stared at her, this woman he barely knew, standing in his kitchen with blood on her hands like it was nothing new. One night, over takeout containers and a half-empty bottle of scotch, David finally told her about the pressure he'd been under for months, shareholders circling like vultures, whispers of hostile takeovers, contracts suddenly vanishing. "They've been bleeding my company from the inside," he admitted, staring at his glass. "And you let them," Maya said bluntly. His jaw tightened. "It's not that simple." "It's exactly that simple," she shot back. "You see a fight coming, you don't wait for it to hit you, you hit first." The silence stretched until David's lips curved in something almost like a smile. "You don't talk like anyone I know." "That's the problem," she replied, softer now. "Everyone you know plays nice until they don't." They started trading stories in the hours between threats, her years of sleeping in shelters, his memories of boardrooms where trust was just another currency. Somewhere between those exchanges, a strange trust grew, not clean or easy, but real. Then the break came. A late-night hack into David's encrypted files revealed a name buried in coded correspondence, one that made his blood run cold. Evelyn. The pieces fell together fast. The attackers weren't random thugs, but contractors working for a rival conglomerate. Evelyn had been feeding them inside information for months, engineering the chaos to weaken David enough for a takeover. The next evening, a black sedan followed them from the office. Maya spotted it first. "We're burned," she said, shoving David into a service alley. 2 men got out of the sedan, moving like they'd done this 100 times. They barely escaped through the back streets, Maya's instincts turning the city into a maze the attackers couldn't read. By the time they reached the safety of David's townhouse, their breathing was ragged. David's hand shook not from fear, but from rage. She's been in my house. In my life. I trusted her. Maya's eyes locked on his. Now you know what it's like to be on my side of the glass. The words landed hard. He saw it then, the cost of survival etched in her every movement. And yet, the closer the danger came, the more he wanted her there. But the clash was inevitable. One morning, after a night of planning their next move, David's voice turned cold. When this is over, what then? You go back to the streets. Maya stared at him, hurt flashing before she masked it. I'm not looking for a savior. Maybe I'm not looking to be one, he replied, instantly regretting it. 2 cars back, the black sedan kept its steady crawl. Inside, the men didn't speak, they didn't need to. She was walking into the perfect spot for them. Across town, David sat in his study, staring at the empty chair where Maya had been just hours earlier. Her words echoed in his head. I'm not looking for a savior. But something inside him refused to let her vanish into the night. When his phone buzzed with a single text, unknown, you'll never see her again, the choice was made. He grabbed his coat and keys, ignoring the armed security stationed in his building. If I don't come back in an hour, call the police, he said, already halfway out the door. Back on the street, Maya cut through a narrow alley, hoping to lose the sedan in the tight turns. She didn't see the second car waiting at the other end until the headlights exploded to life. Her pulse spiked. No time to think, she vaulted over a chain-link fence, landing hard on the other side. Behind her, boots hit the pavement. From the main road, an engine roared, David's black coupe tearing into the alley, skidding to block the pursuers. The passenger door flew open. Get in. Maya hesitated for half a second, then dove inside as David hit the gas, tires screaming against wet asphalt. Gunfire cracked the night. A bullet punched through the rear windshield, glass spraying into the back seat. David didn't flinch. You're not walking out of my life that easily. Maya stared at him, adrenaline making her hands shake. This isn't your fight. It is now, he cut in. They made it mine the second they came after you. The chase spilled into the highway, the sedan tailing them through sheets of rain. Maya yanked open the glove box, pulling out David's old service pistol. You ever shoot from a moving car? David gave a tight smile. There's a first time for everything. Maya knew instantly this wasn't a robbery. This was surgical. They'd taken him alive. A folded slip of paper was wedged under the wiper blade. One line in sharp, deliberate handwriting. You want him back? Come alone. Her pulse didn't spike. Years on the street had taught her to push fear down where it couldn't be used against her. She went to work, piecing together everything she knew. Evelyn's calls, the attackers' movements, the routes they used when they thought no one was watching. By midnight, she had them triangulated to an abandoned shipyard, a forgotten skeleton of rust and shadows at the city's edge. Inside, David was tied to a chair under a single swaying bulb. His suit was torn, blood trailing from his temple, but his eyes stayed defiant. Evelyn circled him like a shark. You were never going to win, David, she said softly, almost pitying. You made the mistake of thinking the rules applied to people like us. You made the mistake of thinking loyalty was weakness, he shot back. Evelyn's smirk faltered. A sound cracked through the dark, a pipe clanging against the floor. One guard went to check. He didn't come back. Then the lights went out. The room dissolved into blackness, broken only by the muffled thud of bodies hitting concrete. When the emergency lights flickered on, Maya stood in the doorway, breathing hard, a length of chain wrapped around her fist. Get away from him, she said, voice low and lethal. 2 guards moved in. She met them head-on, every movement precise and merciless. One went down with a sweep to the knees. The other crumpled after a steel-toed kick to the ribs. Evelyn grabbed a pistol from her waistband and leveled it at Maya. You won't make it out alive. Maya stepped forward anyway, eyes locked on hers. Maybe not. But you're not walking out, either. For a moment, the air between them was razor-wire tight. Then David's chair splintered as he threw his weight sideways, knocking Evelyn off balance. The gun skittered across the floor. Maya caught it without looking and aimed. Leave, she said. While you still can. Evelyn's face twisted, but she backed away into the shadows, disappearing into the maze of the shipyard. Outside, the first hints of dawn brushed the horizon. David leaned against the rusted wall, catching his breath. You came for me, he said quietly. You'd have done the same, she replied. He shook his head. I wouldn't have known how. David froze. This isn't right. Maya's eyes swept the street. No guards. No movement. Her grip tightened on the pistol she'd taken from Evelyn's man. They've been here. Inside, the air was cold. Furniture overturned. Drawers yanked out and emptied onto the floor. Every wall safe was pried open, every hard drive gone. But it wasn't just a break-in, it was a message. On the living room wall, scrawled in deep red paint. You can't save what's already mine. David's face drained of color. That's not Evelyn. Maya turned to him. Then who? A faint hum drew her attention, a single laptop left on the kitchen counter, its screen flickering with static. She stepped closer, and the static resolved into a live video feed. A masked figure leaned into the frame, voice distorted. You've survived longer than expected. That's impressive. David moved beside her, fists clenched. What do you want? The figure chuckled. Not want. Already have. Every contract you fought to protect, every ally you thought was loyal, they belong to me now. And you too, the mask tilted, as if studying them, are going to help me finish the rest. Maya's voice was ice. And if we don't? The figure leaned closer until only their eyes filled the frame. Then we burn the city, starting with the people you care about. Silence hung heavy, broken only by the sound of sirens far off in the distance. David sat heavily on the edge of the counter. This is bigger than my company. Bigger than us. Maya paced, mind racing. They've been 3 steps ahead the whole time. Evelyn was just their opening move. She stood there, stunned, a lifetime of invisibility collapsing in an instant. Gasps rippled through the audience, not because of the confession, but because a man like David had broken the unwritten rules, giving his light to someone society had taught to remain in the shadows. Maya's hands trembled, not from fear, but from the strange weight of finally being seen. She had wandered for years, a ghost in crowded streets, carrying her home only in her heart. Now, for the first time, she felt the earth beneath her feet was hers to claim. The applause started slow, one clap, then another, until it became a thunder that seemed to shake the city skyline. David stepped toward her, not with the grand sweep of a movie hero, but with the quiet certainty of a man who had already made his choice. You saved me before I ever knew I needed saving, he whispered, low enough for only her to hear. She smiled small, almost afraid, but it was enough to tell him she understood. They didn't kiss. They didn't need to. The moment was already intimate in a way the world couldn't translate into headlines. Around them, lights flashed and questions flew, but somewhere deep in the noise, a new silence was born, one that belonged only to them. I'm alive because of her, he said, gesturing to Maya, who stood just a step behind him, unsure whether to shrink into the shadows or finally step into the light. The murmurs from the crowd were a mix of disbelief, and all this wasn't how stories were supposed to be told. Heroes were meant to wear badges, medals, or fine suits, not frayed hoodies and worn sneakers. For the first time, Maya didn't flinch when eyes turned toward her. Every stare that once sliced her down now felt like wind lifting her higher. David's words had cracked something open, not just in the crowd, but inside her. She had been invisible for so long that she'd forgotten what it felt like to exist. Later that night, away from the flashbulbs and applause, they sat on the quiet roof of an old building, their knees brushing. The city stretched out beneath them, a restless ocean of light and noise. David's laughter came softer now, weighted with truth. You changed my life, he said. Not because you saved me, but because you saw me when no one else did. Maya didn't know what to say. The wind tangled her hair, carrying the scent of rain, and in that moment she realized something terrifying. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was beginning to want. They didn't kiss. They didn't promise forever. But their hands found each other in the dark, fingers locking in a silent pact. Somewhere deep inside, they both knew the future wouldn't be easy. Society had a way of chewing people up and spitting them out, but for the first time, they were willing to face it, together.